Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. If you can please call the roll.
Mrs. Arvanitis,
Here.
Mrs. Asif,
Here.
Mrs. Caforio,
Here.
Mr. Collins, Dr. Henry,
Here.
Mrs. Hassler,
Here.
and Mrs. Troutman.
Thank you. We have 6 board members present and 1 absent. At this time, I ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we'll begin with public comments, but seeing that no one is in the audience, is it safe to say no one is here to present any public comments? Thank you, Kathy. Then we'll move on to our next item of business is number 3 on the agenda, reports and presentations. We have a strategic plan monitoring of student success update. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. Good evening. As mentioned, tonight we will really dive deeper into the monitoring the progress for student success during this Committee of the Whole meeting. As seen on the screen, we have a continual cycle and a rhythm that we continually to come back to look at our data as well as to monitor our progress as it relates to our strategic plan. So tonight's focus will specifically be in relationship to the monitoring of student success. For our purpose tonight, we would like to engage the Board of Education with a reflection on the District 205 strategic plan, created in partnership with the Board of Education and administration, as well as learn about the strategies and the actions that are aligned to the priority area, student success, specifically with a focus on professional learning in D205. We will reflect on some of the decisions that have taken place by the Board of Education this school year, as well as analyze how those decisions may impact student outcomes aligned to those priority areas within the priority of student success. And then tonight also, we will identify where the work presented this evening has been witnessed and realized in our school and across our school buildings as a district as a whole. Within that, in order to accomplish those objectives for this evening, we are going to spend some time to review the alignment of the District 205 strategic plan. We're going to present some areas. Specifically, we are so excited to have several directors here with us tonight that's going to present some areas of professional development that really shows this alignment, and we're going to do that in a couple of rotations. And then upon the conclusion of that, we are going to debrief and kind of share. The Board of Education will have an opportunity to debrief and share some of the learnings and the reflections that really focus directly on the impact and the decisions of elevating student outcomes as it relates to the professional learning that has also been witnessed by our very engaged and committed Board of Education. I want to just take a step back for a moment and just again to emphasize just the value of alignment as it relates to the strategic plan. As was shared and as we began this process of really thinking about and developing a strategic plan, the Board of Education made it very clear that this plan was to actually live and that this plan was really going to have a significant impact when it makes its way down to the classroom level and to the work that's done between teachers and students. And so with that being said, I really want to kind of again elevate this idea that our strategic plan is a living and breathing tool that we really use to align ourselves for the impact that we're having as it relates to student success. And within that alignment, as you see, that really the focus as we continue to align is that we're getting down to the individual goals within and across all of our classrooms. we've been able to see just in the last year, looking at our summative data, the impact, the positive impact and implications of that focusedness and of that alignment around instructional priorities, and how we are then thinking about the various elements that help elevate student outcomes as it relates to those areas of prioritization. Within that, I wanted to just share really briefly that we knew that coming into to the year 2021, that there was a lot of conversation and a lot of thought around the implications of the pandemic and how do we continue to make sure that we're not just only growing students, but that we're actually accelerating the outcomes that our students have. And so I'm really excited and pleased to share that there's been a recent analysis from Harvard and from Stanford that really looked at standardized test scores across 8,000 school districts in 30 states. And they really were looking at to analyze this idea of pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and really trying to understand what is the story that we're seeing as it relates to student learning and how we're recovering from the really negative implications and impact that it had for us as the disruption of education occurred during that time period. Well, with that report, this is really fresh and hot off the press, but again, it goes back to this idea of underscoring the power of alignment, that we were able to really look at it in terms of what took place here in District 205. And so the graphs that you see really show that this work that we're doing is really having a direct impact on the acceleration of learning for our students in our district. And that impact, if you ask, well, what is it? What is causing the difference? And I'm here to say that it is the ambitious instruction, it is the alignment of high quality curricular resources, and it is the targeted professional learning opportunities that are being provided for administrators and district teachers at wide. Since 2019, our students here in District 205 have outpaced their peers, growing by the equivalent of almost 1/3 of a grade level more in the area of math. And this analysis indicates that our students have fully rebounded from pre-pandemic levels. As it relates to the area of ELA, the growth is even more significant, with our students growing the equivalent of 1.56 grade levels more since 2019. This analysis and this tool, again, underscores our continued commitment to continuous improvement. We are very pleased with the results, but we definitely are not settled. We believe and we see that in this report that not only are our students outpacing those of peers and others, but it holds true even when we looked a little bit closer across various demographic groups, and that we are also outpacing as it relates to pre-pandemic and post-pandemic in all of our comparable districts. Our students are learning, our students are growing, and it's happening because of the fact that our teachers and our administrators are doing the hard work. Well, what is the hard work, if you ask me? Thank you for asking me. That hard work relates directly back to our student journey of excellence framework. It's being very intentional, and the word that keeps coming up within and as we come together as a district administrative leadership team, very focused on our student success, our learning environment, our financial and operational effectiveness, as well as our community outreach and engagement. Tonight in particular, we're going to delve deeper under student success. And tonight I am so excited to show and to share one particular objective, which is to align curricular resources, programs, and instructional practices to research, to standards, and to data. So how do we do this? We do this with a team of highly skilled leaders. I'm very fortunate that I work not only directly with my cabinet team, but within our cabinet team, we have a structure of directors. And directors directly, I think it's very, very intentional that they're called directors. They directly work with school leaders and teachers to elevate and to provide them with the necessary tools and support that drives what's happening in and across our classroom. So tonight, I want to give a warm welcome to our presenters. We have Miss Amy Baker-Zaleski. Can you please just wave your hand? She is our Assistant Director of Language, Pathways, and Programs. We have Mr. Dave Beatty. Can you please raise your hand? Director of STEM Pathways. We have Miss Colleen Cook, who is actually absent tonight, but was standing in. She is still Director of Special Education, EC5. Can we please give her a round of applause in her absence? And then we also have Ms. Colleen Jedi, who is the Director of Literacy Pathways. Give her a round of applause. So we're really, really excited that we have these phenomenal leaders with us tonight, and that will be sharing directly this work that goes back to this alignment of what our strategic priorities are, how those priorities are then coupled within their work, and then how we're building sustainable systems and structures district-wide through the vehicle and the enabling act of professional development to really support what's happening in each and every classroom. So with that being said, we're going to start with our 10-minute presentations and rotations. And for my Board of Education team members, as you all are listening to, I hope you have in front of you the packet. There's also on the back of the packet, there is a note catcher. If a cabinet member can just, there you go. Thank you. Daniels is showing that. I'm waiting on this table over here. Does everyone? There you go. All right. Okay, great. So for our Board of Education members, that note catcher is there for you so that as you are rotating and listening to the presentations of the directors, you can then begin to think about some of the things that we're going to reflect on as our board president leads us in a reflection at the end of tonight. And just so that you know kind of what is it should, what are some of the questions that we would like for you to be reflecting on is just what did you learn regarding what did you learn about our professional learning, our goals, and how that alignment fits into play with our strategic plan. I also want you to think, Board of Education, that, what are some of the decisions that you've made that have had a direct impact and that you see are living within some of the work that our colleagues are going to be sharing tonight. And then all of our board members, you've been in schools, in addition to sitting at the board table, making those very difficult decisions and governing us with excellence. You've also taken the time to get out and be in schools. And so I'm also, wanting you to be able to think about and share based on what you're hearing and the learning and the work that some of our staff members are doing. How does that align with some of the things that you've seen when you've been out in schools during those board tours? Okay. Can you give me a thumbs up if we're clear on what we're going to do at this time? Excellent. We are on for 10 minutes. And take notes.
Ready to be an e-commerce pioneer? Our baked-in premium plugin
Excellent. So at this time, we are going to briefly come back together. So I could definitely, just in terms of reading the room, and I feel that I know my board team pretty well and have learned to read body language, that they were pleased with the work that they have seen tonight, and not only actually heard about via just talking, but taking it a step further to really review some of the artifacts and the documents that were before you to really show how this work is living out. So could we just take a moment to give all of our directors a round of applause? Excellent job. And so at this time, I think that I'm going to allow Principal Arvanites, if you would just allow Principal, President. I don't know. Okay, maybe that was just like a prophetic utterance. I don't know. Just take it. Just President Arvanites, I think what I want to just do is just allow board members just like 90 seconds, 1 minute or 2 minutes, just to kind of process a little bit of what they've heard, because I know you've heard a lot, and to give them a moment to maybe jot down a few things before we come back together for
Yeah, that
share.
sounds great.
Is that okay?
Let's do that. Let's take
Okay.
a minute or two to just collect some of our thoughts or reflections and close out maybe what we just experienced. A lot of information, a lot of great analysis and information, but then let's give it a minute or two and then we'll start our own reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm intimidated. Just kidding. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of time. What we want to do is take, the next 15 minutes or so to go through really 3 guiding questions for the board. And I think we heard a lot of great information, and I think the artifacts were very valuable to us seeing how the strategic plan, its initiatives, the goals and priorities that are established for the district are actually infiltrating and then impacting all the way down to the classroom. So let's just take a little bit of time we can start with number 1. Let's share. Remember, there's 6 of us here. Anybody can jump out, or I'll call on people to ask, what did we learn regarding professional learning goals and or the D205 strategic plan in our presentations tonight? Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I think we obviously saw, you just said this, but how the strategic plan is kind of trickling down into, the school improvement plans, the director goals, and, making its way all the way to the classroom, which is, through the professional learning communities and the where's my other little word? Thank you. Teacher learning communities. Yeah, the 3-legged stool. Sorry, that was a joke at our table. But, it's amazing work that it's able to be just pared down so far and making its way to the classroom and the impact it's having there. And it's, some of the goals are being met and the students are continuing to improve and grow and develop. So, did I answer the question? Yeah, so I just think it's great work.
Great, thank you, Beth.
I think what we heard a lot was that the professional learning that's being offered and the support that the teachers are able to bring that directly into the classroom and use it right away, and it's helping them in what they're working on day to day at that moment. And I think that just makes the learning and that time that our staff spends in those learning sessions to be, so much more effective for them and helpful. And I'm sure they want to be there and are appreciative of that. So that was great to hear that they've been happy with the sessions offered and the support. So,
Kelly?
I don't really have much else to add, but I was just going to say just how structured and intentional all the professional learning is across all the grade levels and the district, and that all the goals are very collaborative and unified. And I think that that's amazing. And every single person that presented, it was all very similar themes, even if the subject matter was different.
I'll add my own, just this is for me personally, what kept coming up into my brain as the 4 presentations were going on was how really impressive it is that being such a large district and having put forward as a board very lofty goals over the course of the last, or even the initiation of the strategic planning process, and seeing how the actions that are taking place that are intentional and thoughtful, like some of us have said, but just constantly being reminded that there's only so much time and bandwidth, what I like to call bandwidth, when it comes to your ability, the people in this room who are working tirelessly for our district, to utilize and identify a structure that allows for the amount of impact that you're having on kids and their learning is just really impressive to see. That articulation, the synergy between you all, and how it's grounded, what started as a very large, lofty strategic plan is now grounded in the fabric of what you're doing every day. And now we're seeing the impact on students. And to be able to do that in a large district as ours, I just want to put it out there, is a very challenging task. But what's even more challenging is the pace at which you've implemented much of this work. And to turn around, 3 years later and be in this place, I'm looking very forward to seeing what our student successes are going to be like by the end of the school year. It feels not just optimistic, but like, oh, this is happening. And that is not just impressive, but appreciated. because it comes with a lot of commitment and hard work. So that's what kept coming and striking kept popping up through all of your presentations in my head. But the consistency, the implementation, and the natural learning that's going on from one another. You've created this, I just learned about teacher learning communities and how they're complementing professional learning communities and how that helps you all be in a lot of places at once, which is hard to do in a large district with 13, 14, different buildings and all these different leaders. And I'm also starting to see how that is impacting leadership development, but also cohesiveness, everyone on board with the vision of the district. So thank you for that. It really lends itself to understanding the importance of structure and the structure that's been built and that's needed in order to really get down in each classroom. Because like it was said in our table here, it's something that I believe prior to, in the past, I won't put a timeline on it, but it's been difficult for the district to fill that gap between buildings and district office, and it feels like that's no longer your reality. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think we all do, and we're looking forward to seeing I personally am looking forward to seeing the outcomes. I don't want to speak for everyone else, but it feels like really good and really good for kids. So thank you. All right, we'll move to board decisions. Which decisions made by the board have impacted the 23-24 outcomes? There's a few I can rattle off the top of my head, but I'll give it to someone else. Kara.
Well, there's probably a lot that we could list, but I think in particular just, we made some investments, particularly in a math review in ELA, even though that's already been now a little bit of time, but and then also really wanted to dig into EL. And it's clear that those taking the time to actually review and find where the challenges or the gaps in, curriculum and standards and finding those are now you have put forth such amazing work that addresses, pacing of our material and the standards that they're being met, and also how the materials meet those standards, and then also how very tangible professional development for the teachers of here's what we need to accomplish, here's the professional development that you can utilize right here, right now in your classrooms. I think particularly with our special education population, which is awesome because that brings growth, and it also creates focus, which is something that I think having the whole district focused on the, moving in the same direction and knowing where we're going is really huge. And I think that taking the time to review and actually know what needed to be addressed and then specifically addressing it is helping get the results that we're seeing, which are fantastic. So, yeah.
Thanks, Kara. Anyone else with decisions we've made that have impacted? Beth?
I just wanted to say that having the strategic plan as a framework has been so helpful as a board member. When we are talking about and making these decisions and voting on different things, we can clearly see the work that's gone into being intentional about those things. The strong leaders that we've put in place, the curricular resources, the support tools, and other support staff, we can see exactly, and especially through meetings like this, just see exactly where those things are being plugged in, how they're impacting students, and the reason behind those decisions that we made. And so having that framework, I think, as a board member is just, it's been really helpful, and it's guiding all our work clearly from these presentations across the district and creating that consistency and support for students and staff. So
Thanks. Kara, one more? Yep. Yeah, fine.
No, I just, when we've made investments and, we have also always asked about professional development and put professional development as a priority and put the money with it, which has been expensive. But it's really great to see the level of both support for the teachers and the opportunities in all these different layers for them to get professional development rather than just here's something new to do and, figure it out. So I think that is really hopefully paying off for our I mean, I know it's paying off, but I hope our teachers really feel supported in that there's a lot of opportunity for them to grow and also be supported professionally through the investments we've made.
Thanks. Let's move on to the third one, and this is one that I think, I'll speak for myself again, but I think the board members will agree, seeing the work in our school buildings is one of the most rewarding parts of this role, is to be able to go into a school and see all the great work that's going on. So let's take a moment to reflect on, how have we seen this work realized in school buildings this year, whether it was at performances or athletic events or in the classrooms. Anyone can share. Beth, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we talked a lot about the rigor of the curriculum and what our students are doing, and it's one thing I've seen in the classrooms, the writing that we're seeing in second grade, and letting kids know you can do this, and just seeing what they can accomplish above what they were accomplishing before. It has been amazing. I mean, I just can't believe the work that I see kids producing in the classroom. So that's one thing that has stood out in our tours for me.
Kelly?
I just, one experience that really stood out to me is when it was Kelly and I at Lincoln. There were, I forget what grade it was, but there were 3 teachers across a grade working together and collaborating, and you could just tell the work that was happening there and the things they were discussing, and this worked or this didn't work and we need to do this, and it was just obvious how powerful that would be and how that would translate into the classroom and be helpful for students. So I was excited and happy to be able to see that. I thought that was really great.
You stole mine. I was going to say that same thing because I was remembering it. It was interesting because it was, the entire grade, and I can't remember if it was 3rd grade or 4th grade, but I think it was 4th grade. Okay, 4th grade. And that they were looking at individual students and reviewing their essays and coming together to talk about their instruction and how to analyze the essays. And it was very collaborative in nature. And it was great to see how individualized it was.
Great. One more with about a minute left. I think something that has stood out to me in going to multiple schools is that there's this common language that's developed around from leaders and teachers who are focused on really teaching and learning and best practice, right? And that there were moments, whether a principal was talking about a school improvement plan or a teacher was talking about lessons for the day and challenges that that would come up with certain students and describing an environment to us. There's this cohesiveness and continuity in the common language and the things that they're prioritizing in their own personal work with our students. And that is just a testament to the strong leadership of the district that has created that environment where people are, in fact, creating habits of mind that are similar, and it builds a culture and a philosophy that you can start to see developing here in D205. And that's only accredited to really strong leadership and a lot of really hard work, but I hope for you all rewarding work. So thank you for that. Any other final thoughts about today or what we've learned here? We're good? Oh, Kara's got one. Yep.
Just on the last, thing, just the elevation, in our discussions and, also in schools, the elevation of the building leadership to really, they're so connected to what's happening in the classroom and the goals that are, with the strategic plan so that they're able to support their staff in achieving the goals that we as a board have set. And so, that's just obvious in the work that's happening in the professional development, that it's also taking place with our principals, assistant principals, instructional coaches, to happen at building levels and to elevate that leadership. So.
Thank you. Anything else from the board when it comes to our self-reflection and debrief share out for the committee of the whole? No. All right. Well, do you want me to move through the rest of the agenda and close out the meeting then? Is that what we'll do, Dr. Campbell? Okay. So I'll just put it out there because it's item 4 on our agenda, board communications. Board members present reports and or share information to the full board. Does anybody have any board reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, which is our upcoming meetings on February 20th, 2024. There's a Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m. And on March 6th, 2024, a Finance and Operations Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m., both meetings taking place at District 205 Center in rooms 215, 16, and 17. And with that, we are at 7:15 and are adjourned. Thank you all very much for all your hard work and effort put into tonight. We really appreciate it.